Hi there, welcome back to the channel. I'm doing a little sketch of Robin Hood Spades Day in North Yorkshire. This is a bit of an experiment in terms of contrast, selective colouring. It certainly isn't the most refined final outcome, but it's got kick, it's got some punch, you like that, and it certainly has character, so that's good. Obviously I'm sketching in pencil just to get the proportions right in the image, and then I don't always do that. Sometimes I'll just go straight in with fountain pen, but in this case I wanted to make sure that it was spaced pretty accurately. So then I'm lining in. This is very traditional line and wash technique where the fountain pen lines sort of denote the shapes. I'm putting in a little bit of detail of windows and some street furniture, railings, things like that here, and then I'll go on to try and describe some of the texture of the seawall and also some of the other buildings behind. When I first started doing this sketch, I wasn't really 100% sure how I was going to try and tell the story of the scene. Sometimes I try and use thick lines in the foreground and none in the background. Sometimes I'll just use a single line thickness throughout the whole of the sketch and then pull things forwards and backwards with different weights of paint and colouring. And in many ways this sketch would have been quite nice to have been left exactly where it is now in terms of the line width. I mean, I went in afterwards and I added some thicker lines, but I'm not 100% sure it really added much. So here, as you can see, I'm adding in little bits of detail to the seawall. Not everything, you don't have to add everything in, and in fact in some ways if you add too much density in terms of textures it can look too heavy. And here I'm adding in just a couple of people. This always nice, it gives a sense of scale. The leading lines, as you can see in the foreground, sort of suggest texture on the beach, but they also help, I think, to draw the eye into the picture. This is where I made a bit of a mistake. I was blackening the windows, and as you can see on the pub on the right hand side, I actually smeared the ink with my hand. But you know, you crack on, you've done 3/4 of the line work. What's the point in giving up now just because of something like that? I mean, actually I could have gone in with some whiteout and corrected that, and if it was like a big piece not in a sketchbook, I might have potentially done that, but there's no need really. So here I'm still trying to develop a bit more of an interesting, freer technique with my skies instead of just putting blobs of paint in or water, and just trying to make it a little bit more gestural. That's something I'm playing with at the moment. And then you can see I've tried to use some thicker lines to pull some elements forwards, but I think there isn't a really clear definition between what I would say are 3 layers: the house on the left, the pub in the middle after the slipway, and then the cliffs in the background. So I sort of address that later on. Again, this isn't a bad place to leave it, and you know, the danger is with all these pictures is that you overpaint, and about here I would say probably just that's enough, but you know, enough's never enough, so you always put a little bit extra in. Now I could have lifted out some of this looking at it in retrospect, but you know, it's sometimes nice to leave something as it is so that when you look back on it you can go, oh well, I learned something from that. What I've done in the far background is I've put some gouache, white gouache down to sort of fade that cliff back. I do hope that you got something from that. I know that's a bit of a rush through, but I'm still wondering with these videos whether we go for a long one where it's, you know, we talk about things, or whether we just do some short ones. I think really the thing I'd like to try and do is to do some short punchy versions and then do some longer ones that are in real time so that I can properly talk you through various techniques and things. Well, thanks for stopping by again, and yeah, hope you're having a good day. Thanks. Bye bye.